Imagine waking up to this headline: U.S. Pacific Fleet under attack. China launches strike on Taiwan. In an instant, the Pacific turns red. Satellites flash offline. Missile trails arc through the night sky. For the first time since 1941, America faces full-scale war in the Pacific. This is WW3, the China Front. And this is what happens in the first 72 hours. At 4:12 local time, Taipei radar stations pick up a faint signal, dozens of high-speed objects rising from the Chinese mainland. Within minutes, the Taiwanese air defense network identifies DF-16 and DF-21 ballistic missiles inbound. Their targets, radar installations, command centers, and key air bases around Hsinchu, Taoyuan, and Taitung. In Beijing, the order is clear. Commence Operation Red Storm. The Chinese government announces that it is responding to what it calls U.S. provocation and Taiwanese separatism. But in reality, this is a preemptive strike. Within 10 minutes, hundreds of missiles saturate Taiwan's skies. Communications fail, power grids flicker. Taipei's skyline glows orange as the first waves hit. At 4:25, the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command in Hawaii detects launch trajectories. Within seconds, Admiral Samuel Hawk Reynolds gives the order: alert all units. Pacific Command is now under DEFCON. 2 submarines based at Guam and Yokosuka dive deep. B-2 bombers at Andersen Air Base scramble for immediate dispersal. Carrier groups, USS Ronald Reagan near Japan and USS Theodore Roosevelt near the Philippines begin evasive maneuvers. This is no longer a drill. The Pacific War has begun. Taipei's air defenses retaliate, launching interceptors and anti-missile systems. The skies above the Taiwan Strait ignite with streaks of white and red, the modern world's version of artillery fire. China's first goal is simple: decapitate and isolate. They aim to cripple Taiwan's leadership and paralyze communications before the U.S. can intervene. Dozens of People's Liberation Army Navy ships move toward Taiwan's east coast under heavy air cover. Amphibious landing craft begin their approach to the beaches near Hualien, but they're met with a hail of harpoon missiles from coastal batteries. Within hours, both sides suffer heavy losses. In the South China Sea, the U.S. Navy faces its first deadly challenge. A formation of Chinese-type 055 destroyers launches long-range YJ-18 anti-ship missiles toward U.S. carriers. The Reagan's escort group responds with SM-6 interceptors. Some hit, some miss. 2 American ships, the USS Antietam and USS Chancellorsville, are struck. The world watches in horror as footage leaks onto social media. By 8 a.m., the global markets crash. The price of oil doubles in a single morning. Internet services across Asia begin to falter due to cyber attacks originating from Chinese networks. The digital war has started. While missiles fill the skies, another war rages unseen, in cyberspace. Within minutes of the first strike, U.S. satellites begin to lose telemetry. GPS accuracy drops by 40% across the Western Pacific. Civilian planes report navigation errors. Cargo ships drift off course. In Washington, a chilling message hits the Situation Room. We're blind over the Pacific. A coordinated Chinese cyber offensive, codenamed Iron Firewall, targets communication links between U.S. forces in Japan, Guam, and Hawaii. At Pentagon Cyber Command, General Alicia Munro authorizes Operation Backfire, counterattacks using AI-based intrusion systems. It's digital trench warfare. No soldiers, no bullets, only code. By 1400, both nations' military networks are partially paralyzed. Civilian internet across Taiwan collapses completely. The first wave of Chinese paratroopers land outside Taitung, but meet fierce resistance from local defense forces and drone swarms. Taiwanese soldiers, cut off from HQ, still hold their ground, fighting with whatever comms they can manage. At 1945 Washington time, the U.S. President addresses the nation. Our allies are under attack. The United States will respond decisively to defend freedom in the Pacific within the hour. NATO issues a rare emergency declaration. Article 5 consultations begin, though the alliance remains divided. European nations are cautious, but Japan, South Korea, and Australia mobilize instantly. At 2200 local, the U.S. launches Operation Iron Wave. Precision strikes on Chinese radar and missile batteries along the coast of Fujian and Guangdong. Stealth bombers from Guam and submarines from the Philippine Sea unleash Tomahawk missiles. Chinese state media reports massive civilian casualties and vows retaliation. The global balance begins to tip. By the second morning, the Pacific Ocean is a war zone. Dozens of warships are ablaze. Satellite images show oil slicks stretching for miles. China claims to have sunk 2 American destroyers. The U.S. denies it, but releases footage of a successful strike on a Chinese carrier group near Hainan. At 8:30, an event shocks the world. A hypersonic missile, the DFZF, hits Guam's airfield. The explosion cripples half the runway. Casualties, over 200 military personnel. In retaliation, the U.S. Navy launches its first hypersonic counterstrike, using experimental Dark Star weapons deployed from a stealth platform. Their target, a People's Liberation Army Naval Command Center near Xiamen. The strike succeeds. Command goes silent for 3 hours. For the first time, the Pentagon uses the term Major Combat Operations in an official statement. Across Asia, millions are evacuating coastal cities. Stockpiles of food, fuel, and medicine are disappearing overnight. And in Beijing, martial law is declared. At the United Nations, emergency meetings spiral into chaos. Russia accuses NATO of provoking China. India calls for restraint, but secretly mobilizes along its Himalayan border. In Europe, energy prices triple. Cyber attacks hit the London Stock Exchange and Frankfurt banking systems. Analysts call it the most dangerous moment since 1962. Meanwhile, China declares a no-fly zone across the East and South China Seas. Any foreign aircraft entering the area will be treated as hostile. The Philippines becomes the next flashpoint. A U.S. drone base at Clark Airfield is struck by Chinese cruise missiles launched from the sea. Over 30 casualties. American F-35s retaliate, destroying 2 Chinese missile frigates. For the first time, U.S. pilots engage directly with the PLA Air Force. The world is now witnessing the first major air battles of World War III. Across the globe, panic spreads faster than information. Internet blackouts hit Asia and Europe. Stock markets are suspended. In the U.S., emergency broadcasts interrupt all programming. The Department of Defense urges calm. No nuclear weapons have been launched, but the fear is real. Supermarkets empty, fuel lines stretch for miles. In Tokyo, civilians take shelter in subway tunnels. Meanwhile, Chinese and American submarines are stalking each other across the Philippine Sea. The risk of a miscalculation grows by the hour. At 6 a.m., an American P-8 surveillance aircraft detects a Chinese nuclear submarine surfacing unexpectedly. For 12 minutes, both sides lock radar. Then, silence. Each side retreats. Humanity gets lucky. Once again. By the third day, the U.S. and its allies organize a coordinated counterattack. Japan activates its full self-defense forces for the first time since World War II. Australia closes its ports to Chinese shipping. India announces joint military cooperation with the U.S. Navy in the Bay of Bengal. At 12:15, Operation Pacific Shield begins. Hundreds of Allied aircraft from Japan, South Korea, and the U.S. converge over the East China Sea. Their mission? Establish total air superiority. Massive dogfights erupt above Taiwan. The world watches live streams of jets streaking through smoke-filled skies. By nightfall, the U.S. reclaims control of Taiwan's airspace. China's amphibious fleet retreats toward the mainland. Thousands of lives lost. No side victorious. As the third night falls, the world takes a collective breath. The first 72 hours of the China front have killed over 30,000 people, destroyed fleets, and brought humanity closer to the brink than ever before. Both nations step back, not out of peace, but exhaustion. Diplomats meet secretly in Geneva. Neither side claims victory. The Pacific is quiet again, but beneath the waves, nuclear submarines still wait. War, one U.S. admiral later said, isn't just about who fires first. It's about who stops last. The China front may have ended for now, but the next 72 hours could begin at any time.